Hi everyone, sorry if you hear a bit of a background noise, but this video is about, I said I was going to do it the other day, and it's quickly about a new piece of software that I've been using called DxO Optics and Lightroom. So basically I took two pictures just as an example. We've got an ISO 25,600, I hope I said that right, and an ISO 51,200. Now these are extremely high ISOs from the Nikon D810. Now they're out of the camera, there's no editing being done, and you can just see if you look at the back at this chair, you'll see at ISO 51,200 there's a lot of noise. Now you'll see that 25,600 doesn't look that bad, but this is a prime example of, if you remember when I've always said, when I took this shot, by the way, it was something like this out of the camera. I overrode the compensation, or I think if I were in manual, I can't remember, but let me just reset that. Double click to reset the sliders. I overrode the exposure and pushed it 3/4 of the way up the histogram instead of, I think it was about middle, it were about there. And I pushed it up because I knew I was shooting at high ISO, so I want as much light on the sensor as I can get, because more light you get on the sensor when you're shooting at really high ISOs. I even do it at low ISOs because you get more detail in your shadows. The more detail you've got in your shadows, the less noise you're going to see in the end result, and that's why you can look at 25,600 here and it doesn't look that bad. I mean, you could if I go full screen, it doesn't even look that bad, but if I had a highlight next to a decent shadow, that would look quite considerably worse. But anyway, let me just reset that. So I mean, again, if you look at the settings on the, we're going to use the 51,200 for this example. Out of the camera, no editing by the way. Full 36 megapixel raw file. So if we look at these settings, we've got 1/100 of a second, f10 ISO 51,200. Now obviously this was in my house, which is quite low light. Now in reality, you'd never ever shoot something like this. If you were shooting it like this, especially for me at a wedding or something like that, it'd be just me not knowing what I'm doing, because I'd never be at 1/100 of a second. I'd always drag my shutter to half that because I can handle that, and I'd never be at f10, I'd be at f2.8 or something like that, which would fix the ISO problem. But let's just say a little tip along the way, if let's just say that you had no choice, that you said, John, look, I have to use 1/100 of a second, because if I use any slower, I'm not going to make it till next morning, so I've got to use that shutter speed. Well, fair dues, you've got to use that shutter speed, but do you have to use f10? Now I will tell you, I have done jobs with people where they have used f10 and f9 in the house at 400 of a second using automatic ISO, and it's been up at 12,800 and 25,600. And to me, that's just not knowing what you're doing when you're under pressure. If that was me, like I say, it'd be at f2.8, it might even be at f2 if I really wanted to keep my ISO ultra low. You would sacrifice some depth of field, but I'd be prepared to do that. Instead of having a noisy image that's really terrible, I'd just have less depth of field. I could live with that. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about that too long, but let's just give an example though. If you wanted to use these same settings that I'd use now, but put the ISO to 3200, you could do that. And then what I would do is, so 3200, you might be just dragging in a little bit of ambient at that at f10 at 100 of a second, which you'd never catch me using that in the house anyway, but let's just say I was. You could bounce your flash into the direction of the light, so that, see, my light source was coming from the window, which was just slightly to the side. So if I wanted to just leave them settings as they were and go to ISO 6400, which I'd underexpose it, how much? 51,200, 2,056, that's one stop, to 12,800, that's two stops, to 6400, that's three, to 3200, four stops if I went to 6400 ISO. So this would be 4 stops darker. I could then bounce my flash towards that window if I was able to, and the light would still come from the same direction, and I'd be just using my flash, and I'd better keep that ISO down. Anyway, let's not go on for that too longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two images and I'm going to show you this new program. So we're going to go to File, Plugin Extras, and we're going to transfer to DxO Optics. Now, this is the program we're talking about. You can download a trial of it. And I've been using this for a little while now, but I'll be honest, I don't use it that often. I would only really use it in high ISO situations. I wouldn't even use it for ISO 12800 because my camera's just good enough for me at that. But above, I would definitely come to this software. Now, this software, all you do is, you don't even import anything into it. When you're looking for your pictures, you just browse your computer and click the irrelevant folder. There's no import process. And what it does is, you'll be prompted, let's say you've got a Nikon, a Canon 5D Mark III with a 50mm Canon 1.4 lens. It'll prompt you to download the profile for that lens. And if I just go like this, I'm just going to use the 51200. If I hold this button in now, I don't know if you'll see it on the video, but if you look down here, you'll see a before and after, before and after. Now, this is all the settings that this has applied automatically to the image, because that's what DxO Optics Pro is. It's a company that's gone through every single camera, every single lens combination, found out every single ISO for that one camera and made profiles for you. So it gives you a good starting point. It even adjusts the highlights. I mean, if I just turn this off, you see it? You see how it's just... I mean, I'm not going to mess with these settings. This is automatically what it does when you import it in. What I'm going to show you is what it looks like in Lightroom. So all I've done is gone from Lightroom unedited to here. This has done its magic. It's read the lens combination, it's read the camera, it's read the ISO, and under the ISO, the only thing that I've changed is from high quality, I've changed it to prime, so it does the best possible job it can do. So it's all default settings. I'm just going to select both the images now, and I'm going to export to Lightroom, and I'm going to choose a TIFF, and I'm going to choose a 16-bit uncompressed. Yeah, 16-bit uncompressed TIFF, right? And I'm going to export, and you'll see it's actually quite slow at doing this process. It's not ultra fast. If you put it on the high quality setting, it still does a stunning job, but this setting has the edge, and I would only use the prime setting if I really shot at ultra high ISO, meaning an image that I really despised because it was so high. But like at 12,800, 6400, you could choose the high quality. Now, can you see how long it's taking just to do 2 images? That's because it's on the prime setting. If I put it on the high quality, it'd be near enough done now. But I've put it on the prime because this 25,600 and the 51,200, they're really extreme examples, so I'd want this piece of software to do the best possible job. Now again, this has just been loaded into this software, meaning I've gone to organise, clicked on the folder, no importing, it's just read the folder immediately and said, right, these were taken with a Nikon D810 and a 50mm 1.4G 8G lens, and it downloaded me a profile and it did everything on its own. I've done nothing. All I'm doing now is sending them into Lightroom when it's done its magic. And it really is a stunning piece of software. You'll see in a minute. So I'm just having a coffee. If you hear a bit of background noise, I can't talk about it like. But you can see how slow it is. But that's why if I were to do a wedding, I mean, it would be nice to bring every image in here, let it automatically do its corrections on the lens and the light and the sharpness and stuff like that, and take them all back into Lightroom and then pick and choose them. But it's a bit slow. So again, I'm only really going to use it for high ISO images. And you can see it's going to, I mean, it does, but watch what it does. It's worth this couple of minutes wait that you're waiting for it to do its job. And then what I'm going to do is, when I've done that, when these appear back in here in a minute, I'm going to remove the noise level in Lightroom and do the same thing that DxO Optics did. So they'll look the same, and then I will do a compare view and see how much sharper and how much clarity and how much better the DxO Optics did of it than Lightroom. I mean, basically, I think Lightroom was about 60 or 70 on luminance. But it just killed the shot. It was unusable after you'd done that. DxO Optics was just like, wow, it was unreal. Like I say, the negative to it is it takes a long time. So, but I mean, if it was a killer shot or a couple of nice shots that you'd done in low light in church and you had no choice to get them, it'd be worth waiting half an hour, wouldn't it, for one image if you had to. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to wait half an hour, but I'm giving a prime example. You know, end of day, quality takes time, and you'll see in a minute. I mean, if you want, on another video, I will show you the high quality setting, but I've already clicked that. That's the only thing that I've changed, by the way. I'll say it again. Here we go, right, we're done now, and they're here, right? But I mean, if you just come to 5,000, I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the library. It puts them in a group with the other two pictures. So now, if we go here, you'll see we've got two pictures. I'm just going to use the 5,000, the 51,200, right? We're going to go here and we're going to go, I mean, for now, I'm just going to go next. So there's I'll just go full screen. There's out of the camera and there's the DxO Optics. Now it is a touch softer, definitely a touch softer, but believe me, when we zoom in a minute, you'll see, now it wants editing. Don't forget, it's unedited. It's only gone into DxO Optics. You can see DxO Optics. If you look at the chair here, it's also fixed the lens distortion. And it's fixed the highlights, it's brought the highlights down. This is all automatically what that software did. I personally think that the reds are a bit bright, so I'm just going to back them off. But there, we'll just go like that. And so there's out of the camera, 51,200 and DxO Optics. Now, if we zoom in, what I'm going to do here is, oh, hang on, let me compare. And we'll go, so now we're going to look at the pair side by side. So as you can see now, on the left hand side is out of the camera, 51,200. On the right hand side has just been into DxO Optics, been automatically sorted out, as they would call it, and it's come back. And you can see it's lost some clarity, but it's still got loads of detail. And look at it now. I mean, it's just a usable shot. I mean, let's move to the chair. This is a better example. Well, we'll leave half of. Look at this here, and look at it on the right hand side. I mean, the right hand side's perfectly, it really, really is an absolute stunning shot. So what we'll do is, I think that's not nice to do that. So what we're going to do here, we'll go to the develop module, and we'll end this video shortly. And we're going to zoom in, and I'm going to move the luminance noise reduction up until this roughly looks, I think it's about 60. It's going a bit slow, so it's 60. Let's try 65. Right, so what we'll do now is we'll press the compare key, and we're on that TIFF, aren't we? Right, we're going to zoom into the chair. So we're looking to bring this NEF to look like the TIFF on the right hand side. And if you look, the TIFF from DxO is still cleaner. It still wants that luminance going up on the NEF. I'll go to 75. Can we go back to the compare module? Let's have a look now. Just let the NEF load that preview. By the way, when you're at 100%, every time you move that's about roughly the same. I mean, it might, let's just go back actually and knock it to 70. So we've brought a bit of the noise back. But so there you go. So if we look, let me just click this off there. Let me just go. So now, if we look at the noise reduction that I've just done in Lightroom, well, look at the two images. Watch. Let's go full screen. So you've got Lightroom's noise into it. To me, that looks like it's moved the same amount of noise as it has on the TIFF that came from DxO. Now watch the flowers. Yeah? I mean, it may not have been a perfect example, but what I'm saying is when I press the C key and I zoom in, I'm just using roughly the left image, the right image, and you can see the noise. In fact, the noise, the one on the left, the NEF, still looks like it needs more noise reduction. But I mean, if we go look at the, let me just drag it down to the flower. Oh, where am I? Sorry. And it doesn't look that bad on the flower, to be fair. There's not, but it has. I mean, if you look in middle here, look at all detail in this one, and look at the detail in that one. And this is, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, I've done nothing. I've done nothing to this image here. This TIFF here at 51,000, I did nothing. I just got it into optics and put it back into Lightroom. Did nothing. Oh, I changed that setting to prime. But I did a good job. What I found out is on high, when you did high, it was a little bit rougher here, but high was good. But I mean, look at that, it's totally usable now. So now if we go to the develop module, let's now go to the detail setting and let's put some sharpening on. I'll put 50 on and we'll mask it to about there. We'll do the same on this one. Mask it. And then we'll just, I don't know, put a bit of clarity. We'll put a 10 on. Bit of vibrance down that, put a bit of contrast. There he goes. -20 and +15. There you go. But I mean, obviously, I still think that that's a little bit harsh on those reds. I'll pull it down a bit. But there you go. Let's go full screen. So there now, there's your Lightroom edit. Yeah. So there you go. Let's go full screen. So there's 51,200 raw file edited in Lightroom. And there's your DxO Optics. Look at that. Absolutely stunning piece of software. A little bit slow. I wouldn't want to use it on a full wedding, but I mean, it does the same thing on any file, even if you shot at 400. But I couldn't be bothered. Well, I don't think it'd take as long. I think it took so long as well on this file because the calculations that it had to do to retain the sharpness and keep it looking good at that ISO is unreal. I mean that just really is. It's absolutely. I mean, if you look at the vars here in a minute, you look at the vars. I mean, look at the sharpness on the DxO, and I mean, we didn't really do naught with it. All I did is bring it back in and just apply a bit of sharpening, which you'd always do. Anyway, I hope this video helps. Thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next.